Hello, welcome back sa discussions natin in Chem 114 or Chemistry for Engineers. So after ng discussion natin for electrochem, magpo-proceed na tayo sa discussion natin for nuclear chemistry. So recall lang yung mga napag-aralan natin sa electrochemistry. Again, yung electrochemistry is more on umiikot siya sa electrons kasi nagkakaroon tayo ng transfer ng electrons from one atoms into another atom. Kaya tayo nakakapag-create ng voltage. No? So, ngayon naman, proceed na tayo sa nuclear chem. So, define muna natin kung ano ang nuclear chem or nuclear chemistry. So, nuclear chemistry is a branch of chemistry that deals with processes involving substances that undergo reactions and involves the nucleus. Kung sa electrochem, ang involved lang ay yung electrons, dito naman sa nuclear chemistry is ang involved naman ay yung nucleus, 'di ba? Kung babalikan natin yung first topic natin, yung sa atoms, 'di ba? Ang atoms ay binubuo ng nucleus and then yung kanyang electron cloud. And then the nucleus, ano ba yung mga kino-contain ng isang nucleus, 'di ba? Doon natin matatagpuan yung positively charged, which is the proton, and then the neutral charged, which is the neutron. No. So, nuclear chemistry, it also involves the study of the changes within the nuclei of atoms and the emission of energetic particles due to these nuclei changes. Meaning, yung sa nuclear chemistry, sa mismong nuclei tayo nagkakaroon ng change, no? Sa mismong nucleus na. So, for example, kung makikita nyo dito, yung example natin is yung uranium 235 and then through time, nagbabago siya, no? So, ang nangyayari dito, yung kanyang nucleus mismo yung nababago. Later on, i-discuss natin yung magdi-deep dive tayo dito para mas malinaw or para mas maintindihan nyo kung ano ba ang nangyayari sa nuclear chem. So, before that, i-differentiate muna natin yung chemical reactions versus a nuclear reaction. So, unang-una, sa chemical reactions, atoms are rearranged by the breaking and forming of chemical bond. Sa chemical reactions, di ba, nagkakaroon lang naman tayo sa ordinary chemical reactions, nagkakaroon lang tayo ng breaking and forming of a chemical bond. For example, nag-react tayo ng hydrogen and then ng oxygen to produce water. Ibig sabihin, nagkaroon lang tayo ng forming of bonds. And then kapag breaking naman, for example, si water, i-degrade natin siya into hydrogen and to oxygen. No? So, ano naman kapag sa nuclear reaction? So, sa nuclear reactions, unang-una, elements or isotope, the same elements are converted from one to another. Pwedeng yung element, ma-convert siya into same element lang din niya, but its isotope form. No, mamaya i-discuss natin kung ano ba yung isotope. And then, elements are converted naman pwedeng from one element into another element. For example, yung helium, naging hydrogen siya. So, ganun yung mga nuclear reactions. And the next is, for chemical reactions, only electrons in atomic or molecular orbitals are involved in the breaking and forming of bonds. Diba? Nabanggit na natin to na ang chemical reactions, hindi naman nababago kasi yung kanilang atom, no? Kung zinc siya, zinc pa rin siya. Kung oxygen siya, oxygen pa rin siya. Bakit? Kasi ang only involved lang for chemical reactions ay yung electrons lang. Once kasi na maging involved ang nucleus, especially the proton, nagkakaroon na ng bago. No? And then for nuclear reactions, ayan, protons, neutrons, also the electrons, and other elementary particles may be involved. So lahat sila ay involved na sa nuclear reactions. Third is reactions are accompanied by absorption or release of relatively small amounts of energy kapag chemical reactions. Di ba kapag, for example, naglusaw lang naman tayo ng asin sa tubig is yung energy released by the salt kapag nagkakaroon na sila ng chemical bonding with water is hindi naman ganun ka laki yung energy na naire-release niya. Hindi siya ganun ka exothermic. Unlike for nuclear reactions, reactions are accompanied by the absorption or release of tremendous amounts of energy. So dito, meron na tayong release ng tremendous amount of energy. Kaya nga nuclear, di ba? So, hindi lang basta-basta yung energy na inire-release natin dito. Hindi lang very small, kundi napakalaki. No? Pwede ring ina-absorb. No? So, pang-apat, so chemical reactions, rates of reaction are na-influensyahan siya by the temperature, pressure, concentration, and catalyst. And then for nuclear reactions, hindi siya masyadong naapektuhan ng temperature, pressure, and catalyst. Kasi ang nuclear reactions, kahit wala yung mga yan, nakakapag-proceed ang isang nuclear reaction. No, unlike sa chemical reactions na madali siyang ma-impluwensyahan ng temperature, 'di ba? For example, kapag naglusaw ka ng asin sa tubig, so kapag mas mataas yung temperature, mas mataas yung rate of reaction. Mas mabilis nagre-react yung asin at yung tubig. No, unlike sa mga nuclear reactions na hindi nakakaapekto yung temperature, pressure, at yung mga catalyst. Kapag sinabi natin catalyst, ito yung nagpapabilis ng or nag-alternate ng activation energy ng isang chemical reaction. Pinabababa niya yung activation energy, meaning pinapibilis niya reaction. Yun yung catalyst or yun yung trabaho ng isang catalyst. So, dito naman tayo sa radioactive elements. Ano nga ba ang mga radioactive elements? So, radioactive elements are made up of atoms whose nuclei are unstable and give off atomic radiation as part of a process of attaining stability. Yan, yung mga radioactive elements daw ay yung mga nuclei nila ay very unstable. No. So, para maging stable sila, ang ginagawa nila is nag-e-emit sila ng radiation to attain the stability. Kung makikita nyo yung periodic table is punong-puno yan ng mga radioactive elements, especially yung mga elements na mabibigat or yung mga elements na may mga matataas na atomic number. Kung titingnan nyo yung periodic table nyo, the only radioactive element na maagaan is the technetium. And then yung ibang mga elements from polonium hanggang doon na sa may dulo, majority of them are radioactive. So, ito na yung isotopes. Ano nga ba ang isotopes? Isotopes are atoms of the one element that differ by having the same number of protons but different number of neutrons in their nuclei. No, ibig sabihin, ang isotopes ay iisang element lang. No? So, meaning, for example, oxygen-16, oxygen-17, and oxygen-18. All of them are oxygen. No, kung i-recall natin, di ba ang number of proton is also equal to the atomic number rather. No? Again, ang number of protons is also equals to their atomic number. So meaning, isotopes have same atomic numbers but different in mass number. So paano natin nakukuha yung mass number? Mass number is the sum of the proton and then the neutron. Meaning, nagkakaiba-iba lang ang mga isotope sa number of neutrons na meron sila. For example yan, yung oxygen-16, we have 8 protons. Kung titingnan nyo, sundan nyo yung cursor ko, oxygen-16 have 8 protons and then meron siyang 8 neutrons. Pag-aadin mo lang yung dalawa na yan to get the mass number of 16. Kaya siya oxygen-16. And then for oxygen-17 naman, still, the number of protons is 8. And then the number of neutrons, we have 9. So, kapag pinag-add natin sila is 17. Kaya siya oxygen-17. And then for oxygen-18, we have 8 protons and then 10 neutrons. And then yung kanyang mass number is 18. No. So, paano sir kapag yung number of proton yung nabago? Meaning, hindi na siya isotope. Kasi once na baguhin mo yung number of protons na meron siya, hindi na siya oxygen. For example, nag-add tayo ng isang proton, fluorine na siya. Kasi ang atomic number ng ng fluorine is 9, di ba? So, hindi na siya isotope. Again, ang isotope ay same element lang but different in their neutrons or number of neutrons causing the number or the mass number is also nagbabago. So, number of neutrons and protons in the nucleus determine the stability of the atom. So, nakadepende daw sa number of protons and neutron yung kanilang stability. So, unstable isotopes are radioactive. Kapag daw unstable yung isang isotope, ito ay radioactive. Meaning, hindi lang yung mga radioactive elements na meron tayo sa periodic table, yung radioactive. Also, oxygen, katulad nito, pwede rin siya maging radioactive. No? For example, yan. Pwede siyang maging radioactive. No? So, nakadepende lang din sa kanilang stability. Next is the band of stability. Ayan, dito na natin madedetermine kung stable ba ang isang nucleus or ang isang atom or hindi. So, kung titingnan nyo nandito sa left side natin, ito yung tinatawag natin na band of stability. Kung titingnan nyo yung mga black dots na yan sa gitna ng red dots, yaan yung band of stability. Meaning, yung mga atoms or yung mga elements within that black dots ay mga stable. And then yung mga naka-red naman, yun yung mga unstable. So, kung titingnan nyo tong graph natin, so dito muna tayo sa may alpha emissions. Isotope in this region decay by alpha emission to give a lower atomic number. Kung makikita nyo, itong upper side na to, majority of them are alpha emission yung ina-undergo nilang radioactive decay. Bakit? Kasi lahat ng mga nandito, 'di ba? Tingnan niyo tong graph natin. Pataas is the number of neutrons. As long as nag-i-increase yung number of neutrons nyo and the number of protons, meaning yung mga nasa alpha emission, yung mga nanditong element ay yung mga mabibigat na element. For example, ito kunyari 120 yung neutron niya and then dito naman 80 yung kanyang number of protons. So meaning, siya ay mabigat. And then kapag mabigat yung ang isang element is unstable siya kadalasan and then nag-undergo siya ng alpha emission. And then dito naman sa side na to, for beta emission, itong upper side na yan, yung upper side na yan, yung mga nandyan ay nag-undergo ng beta emission. And then kabaliktaran naman niya, yung nasa baba is mga nag-undergo ng positron emission or electron capture. So the principal factor that determines whether a nucleus is stable is the neutron to proton ratio. Dito natin malalaman kung stable sila or hindi. Yung neutron to proton ratio, ibig sabihin divide lang natin yung number of neutrons sa number of proton. For light elements, atomic number less than 20, stable isotope have N over P ratio is equals to 1. Masasabi natin siyang stable kapag yung neutron to proton ratio natin is equals to 1. No, di-divide lang natin. Kapag nag-equal to 1 siya, ibig sabihin siya ay stable. For example, 8 divided by 8. O kunyari, 8 yung number of proton na meron siya and then meron tayong 8 number of neutron. So, 8 divided by 8 is 1. So, meaning siya ay stable. Kapag hindi siya nag-1, yun ay unstable at may kakayanan siya na mag-undergo ng or siya ay radioactive. No. Next is, at the atomic number is equals to 50, stable isotopes have N over P or neutron to proton ratio of 1.3. Doon siya stable. And then atomic number is equals to 80 naman. Ayan. Stable isotope have neutron to proton ratio of 1.5. Ito, tatandaan nyo lang itong mga to. Hindi ko na kayo pagkakomputin sa may part na to. Kasi masyado na tong for advanced chem. And then for all isotopes, all of the isotopes of the elements with atomic number higher than 83 are radioactive. Yung mga elements daw na may atomic number na 83 pataas ay sila ay mga radioactive. So, ibig sabihin, magmula kay polonium hanggang doon sa mga susunod, sila ay mga radioactive na. No. So, radioactivity, unstable nuclei undergo radioactive decay. Kapag daw unstable, nag-undergo ng radioactive decay. Ano bang radioactive decay? It is the spontaneous transformation of one element to another. Nababago siya, no? From one element, magiging isang element na naman siya na bago. During the process, they emit small particles of energy called radiation. Nag-e-emit daw sila ng mga small particles na tinatawag natin na radiation. Marami tayong types of radiation. Iisa-isahin natin sila later. So, they do this to have more stable nuclei. Siyempre, to to attain the stability, kailangan nilang mag-emit ng radiation. So, ito yung mga iba't ibang klase nating radiation. The alpha, the beta, yung beta positive and beta negative, yung gamma, and then yung neutron, and then yung proton. Yan. Actually, marami yan sila. So, radiation may take the form of, pwede siyang alpha or sinusulat natin siya as alpha na Greek letter, alpha particles, beta particles, and then pure energy such as gamma or yung Y rays. And then when radiation is emitted, a radioisotope may undergo a change in the number of proton. Pwede siya magbago sa number of proton and then pwede rin siya magbago sa number of or mass number. Ayun. Pwede siya magbago sa mass number. And then may be converted to an atom of another element. Of course, pwede siyang magbago. So, ito na yung mga types of radiation natin. An alpha particle has 2 protons and 2 neutrons. And it is identical to helium. 4 nucleus, a particle equal to helium nucleus is emitted. Ang alpha particle daw is also equals kay helium nucleus. Di ba ang helium nucleus meron siyang 2 proton and then meron siyang 2 neutron, 'di ba? So meron siyang 2 yung nakalagay dito sa baba, indicating yung 2 na yan is the atomic number and then yung nasa taas naman ay yung indicating of the mass number. Paano na nga ulit kunin yung mass number? The mass number is the sum of the proton and the neutron. So 2 plus 2 kaya 4 yung nandito. Yan, ganyan siya isulat or pwede rin siyang i-represent as alpha. Kahit kung hindi mo bet yung He, pwede yon. A beta particle is a high-energy electron with a charge of negative 1 formed when a neutron is changed to a proton. So, yung beta particle naman, pwede natin siyang i-represent as E or electron or pwede rin B or yung beta na Greek letter. So, dito, we have 0 mass number and then meron tayong negative 1 pagdating sa kanyang proton. Kasi nga, ito ay sa electron to. And then yung beta particles, marami tayong types niyan. And then for gamma rays or yung, sa gamma, are the high energy radiation released from a nucleus when it decays. Ito naman, wala silang mass or charge. Meaning, 0 at 0 to. Wala siyang proton at wala siyang mass number dito sa taas. Hindi siya nababago doon. Yan. So, ito pa yung ibang types pa ng radiation. Again, the alpha particle, pwedeng ang symbol niya ay yung alpha na Greek letter and then pwedeng 4-2He. So, 2 protons and 2 neutrons are emitted as an alpha particle. So, ang mass number na meron ulit, si alpha particle is 4 and then yung charge niya is 2+, yung nasa baba. And then for beta particle, so yung beta particle, pwede niyong i-represent as B or yung beta na Greek letter and then 0 and then negative 1 ng electron. So, a neutron changes to a proton and an electron is emitted. Again, the mass number is 0 and then the charge is negative 1. And then for positron, so yung sa positron is B+. Still, E pa rin yung pwede nating isulat. The positron is the counterpart of the beta particle. So, ito, instead of negative 1, positive 1 yung gagamitin natin. And then the proton changes to a neutron and the positron is emitted. Again, ang mass number niya is 0 at ang charge niya is positive 1. Again, it is the counterpart of the beta particle. And then for gamma ray or gamma, pwede siyang gamma, 0, 0, energy is lost to stabilize the nucleus. Energy lang yung nawawala dito again. Energy lang. Hindi tayo nawawalan ng mass number kaya siya 0 and then hindi tayo nawawalan ng charge kaya 0 siya. And then for proton naman, pwede natin siyang isulat as P or pwede ring hydrogen. Kasi ang hydrogen ay meron tayong 1 mass number and then meron tayong 1 atomic number or 1 proton. So, a proton is emitted. So, yung mass number niya ay 1 and then yung charge niya is positive 1. And then for neutron is 1 yung kanyang mass number and then 0 yung kanyang proton number. So, a neutron is emitted naman kasi meron tayong mass number na 1 and meron tayong 0 na charge. Sir, paano po naging mass number ay 1? Kasi nga, di ba, the mass number is proton plus neutron. Meaning, 0 yung proton mo pero meron kang isang neutron. Kaya ang naging mass number niya is proton. So, 0 plus 1 is equals to 1. So this is the penetrating power of radiation. So how penetrating ba yung mga radiation? So for alpha rays particles which sila ay masyadong mabibigat. So nangyayari sa kanila is a simple paper can stop an alpha ray. So paper lang, mapipigilan mo na siya. And then for beta rays naman, ayan, for beta, so high energy electrons to. So ayan, hindi na penetrate ng ano yan, ng katawan natin. So tumatago siya sa atin, and then tin aluminum naman yung nakakapagpapigil sa kanya. No, and then for gamma rays, and then syempre yung X-rays, high energy electromagnetic radiation to. So ito, yan, lumalagpas din siya sa atin. And then sa tin aluminum, and then yung thick lead naman yung nakakapagpahinto sa gamma and then sa X-rays. And then for neutron rays, ayan, free neutrons. So yan, tumatago siya sa lahat except kay water or concrete. Yun lang yung nakakapagpapigil sa kanya. So radiation protection. So paano tayo makakapag-protect sa mga radiation? So for alpha particle, paper and clothing lang is enough. And then for beta particles, a lab coat or gloves. And then a lead shield or thick concrete wall for gamma rays. Thick ha, makapal. And then limiting the amount of time spent near a radioactive source, of course. Kasi kapag masyado na tayong matagal or na-expose sa radiation, ano nangyayari? Baka maapektuhan na yung cells natin, and then mamatay siya, and then mag-cause siya ng cancer cells. Kadalasan kasi ganun yung nangyayari. And then yung iba, mutation pa, na alter yung genes na meron tayo. And then increasing, syempre, the distance from a source. Kapag malayo ka, less yung less yung exposure mo sa mga sa mga radiation. Yan, or sa radioactive source. So, dito naman tayo sa balancing the nuclear reaction. So, kung meron tayong balancing for a chemical reaction, and then sa balancing a redox reaction, meron din tayong balancing for nuclear reaction. Take note, the balancing of nuclear reaction is very different pagdating doon sa balancing na meron tayo sa simple chemical reactions. No? So when a nuclide decays, it becomes a nuclide of lower energy. So lumiliit daw yung energy kapag siya ay nagde-decay. And then the excess energy is carried off by the emitted radiation and the recoiling nucleus. The decaying of reactant nuclide is called the parent. Minsan tinatawag ko rin tong mother. Kasi parent, di ba? So yung 'di ba, sa isang chemical reaction or simple chemical reaction, yung parent ay yung reactants, and then the daughter will be the product. No? So for example, ito, yung uranium natin, again, yung 238 is the mass number, and then yung 92 is the atomic number. So yung uranium-238, this is the parent nuclide. No? So ito yung parent, and then kapag kapag nag-emit na siya ng radiation, for example, nag-emit siya ng alpha particle, ayan, so 4-2He or alpha 4-2. So kapag nangyari na ganun, ibig sabihin nabawasan siya ng 4 na mass number and then 2 proton. So kapag nabago yung proton niya, mababago rin yung kanyang atomic number. And then kapag nabago yung atomic number, magbabago din yung mismong element. So from uranium, magiging thorium siya. And then yung mass number niya ay magiging 234. Kung papansin niyo, 238 to 234 and then 92 to 90. That is balancing a nuclear reaction. Very simple lang, 'di ba? So it is easier than balancing a chemical reaction. Basta kabisado mo yung iba't ibang klase nating mga radiation. So it is very easy lang. No? So in a balanced nuclear equation, particles are emitted from nucleus and the mass number and atomic may change. Yan. So the sum of the mass numbers and the sum of the atomic numbers are equal for the reactants and the product. Again, the mass number is yung nandito sa taas, or minsan nire-represent natin siya as A. And then yung Z naman ay yung 98 or yung atomic number. Again, yung atomic number ay 98 at yung mass number ay 251 for californium. So yung californium, nag-undergo siya ng alpha decay. So anong nangyari is from 251 naging 247 siya. So ayun, 251 minus 4. Yun. So 247 plus 4 is 251. So balance yung mass number natin. And then for atomic number is ayan, 2, 'di ba? So 96, and then 98. Yan, very straightforward lang siya. So, balancing the nuclear reaction again. Yan. Recall, yung A represent the mass number, and then the Z is the proton number or the atomic number, and then X is the symbol of the element. And then, first, the alpha decay or yung tinatawag natin na alpha emission. First mode of radioactive decay is the alpha decay. Alpha decay was characterized by the emission of alpha particle. An alpha particle is a helium nucleus and can be written as, so ilang beses na natin to binabanggit, 4, 2, or He, or pwede ni siyang 4, 2, or yung alpha na Greek letter. For each particle emitted by the parent mass number A, ayan, mass number A decreases by 4. And then the atomic number Z decreases by 2 in the daughter. So for example, ito, yung uranium-238-92, nag-undergo siya ng alpha decay. And then, it resulted to a thorium-234, and then syempre from 238 magiging 234, and then 92 magiging 90. Sir, bakit po dito sa side ng thorium natin ilalagay yung alpha decay na or yung alpha decay na or alpha emission na symbol? Kasi nga binabalance natin yung nuclear reaction. So dito natin siya ilalagay. So 234 plus 4 is 238, 90 plus 2 is 92. Then for example, nag-undergo siya ulit ng isa pang alpha decay. So yung thorium 234, 90, and then ayun magiging radon na siya. So magiging 230 and then 88. So ayan, sulat lang natin ulit dito yung alpha decay. So next is for the beta decay or beta emission. Beta decay is a general class of radioactive decay that encompasses 3 modes. Meron siyang tatlong modes. No, hindi pala types. Meron siyang tatlong modes. First is the negatron emission, and then the positron emission, and then the electron capture. Or yung minsan tinatawag din natin beta negative and then beta positive. And then last is the electron capture. Didiscuss natin yan isa-isa. For beta decay or negatron emission, occurs through the ejection of a beta particle or yung high-speed electron from the nucleus. This change does not involve expulsion of beta particle or negatron particle that was in the nucleus. Rather, a neutron, ayan, yung neutron daw ay nako-convert into proton which remains in the nucleus, and the beta particle which is expelled immediately. So dito, katulad sa may alpha decay, kung saan tayo naglagay, doon mapupunta. So dito, 131 na iodine 53 turns into 131, and then, sorry, may mali dito sa may sa mismong PowerPoint, hindi na siya iodine kasi nga nadagdagan na yung kanyang proton. Hindi na siya 53, naging 54 na siya. So siya ay xenon na, hindi na siya iodine. No, so palitan niyo na lang to, paki-correct na lang to guys. Instead of iodine, magiging xenon na to. So from iodine 131, magiging xenon 131 siya. Meaning hindi na bago yung kanyang mass number, but the the atomic number yung nabago mismo. No, so naging xenon na siya. Ayan, so 54 minus 1 is 53. Next is the positron or beta emission. It's the emission of beta plus particle from the nucleus. Positron emission occurs through a process in which a proton in the nucleus is converted into a neutron and a positron which is expelled. So ito ay kabaliktaran ni negatron emission. So ito from sodium 22. Ayan, naging neon 22 na siya. So dito, instead na madagdagan yung yung proton natin, ang nangyari sa kanya ay na bawasan, no? So kasi positive to. So again, kabaliktaran siya ng negatron emission. Next is the electron capture. Electron capture when the nucleus draws in an electron from a low atomic energy level. The net effect is that a proton is transformed into a neutron. So ito kabaliktaran naman to ni beta decay. No? So pare-pareho silang kabaliktaran. Ang kinaibahan ni electron capture, so para hindi kayo masyadong malito, tandaan nyo lang na kapag electron capture, yung mismong electron, ayan, 'di ba kung papansinin niyo pareho lang si beta decay. na 0, negative 1, tas yung beta or electron. Si electron capture, same lang din. Again, para hindi kayo malito, lagi nyong ilalagay sa parent side kapag electron capture. Kapag beta decay or negatron emission, ilalagay mo siya sa daughter side. Again, sa parent side or sa reactant side. No? For example, ayan, yung HgAt. Yan, yung HgAt or yung 200, Hg201. Correct ko lang ulit. Hg201 or Mercury 201. Ayan. Plus, ayun, inad natin yung nag-undergo siya ng electron capture. So, anong nangyari? Naging gold 79 na siya. But still, yung kanyang mass number ay the same pa din. And then, naglalagay tayo ng gamma emission kasi nga, ang nangyari dyan, nagre-release yan ng huge energy. So, kapag naglagay tayo niyan, obligado maglalagay din tayo nito. So, next is the gamma or gamma emission or gamma decay. So, a gamma ray or gamma particle involves the radiation of high energy gamma photons, also called as gamma ray, from an excited nucleus. Diba, energy lang naman yung nangyayari dito or nare-release. So, meaning, hindi natin ginagalaw yung mass number niya and then yung kanyang atomic number. No? So, dito, yan. Pero kung dito sa may reaction natin na to or sa may nuclear reaction natin na yan is, ayan, wala namang naging epekto dito sa may gamma, di ba? So, kung aalisin natin tong part ng alpha particle na to, at yung kung aalisin natin yan at nag-undergo lang siya ng gamma decay, ang mangyayari dyan, 23892 uranium pa rin siya. Hindi siya mababago. So, exercise. Create and write the appropriate nuclear reaction process in the word problems. So, yung dalawa dito ay hindi. Tama. Yung dalawa dito i-example ko and then yung isa, yung number 3, kayo nang bahala mag-practice. Hindi yan assignment ha, practice lang. So, gawin natin yung exercise. Yan. So, thorium-232 sa number 1 undergoes 3 cycles of alpha decay. Nag-undergo daw yung thorium-232 ng alpha decay. So, again, paano natin isusulat si thorium-232? So, TH and then 232 is the mass number. And then, ano ba yung atomic number ni thorium? So, si thorium ay 90, yung kanyang atomic number. So, sabi dito, nag-undergo daw siya ng 3 cycles of alpha decay. Ibig sabihin, nakagat ko yung dila ko. Nag-undergo siya ng 3 cycles ng alpha decay. So, yan. Since nag-undergo siya ng alpha decay, maglagay tayo dito ng 4 and then maglagay tayo ng 2 dito and then yung alpha. Yan. So, nag-undergo siya. So, 232 minus 4 is 228 na siya. So, 228 and then 90 magiging 88 siya, no? So, 88 yung kanyang atomic number. So, sino ba yung element na may 88. So, ang may 88 ay si radon or Ra. Yan. And then, syempre, plus. Yan. So, next, sabing ganon, nag-undergo daw siya ng 3 cycles, di ba? So, ibig sabihin, etong radon natin na to, mag-undergo ulit yan ng decay. So, ibaba lang natin siya papunta dito. So, yung radon, yan, radon 228 is, yan, 88. Nag-undergo na naman daw siya ng isa pang alpha decay. So, 4, 2. Yan. So, ngayon, 228 minus 4. Yan. So, 228 minus 4 is 224. Ayan. So, sorry, napalaki ng konti. 224. Yan. And then, yung nabawasan ulit siya ng dalawa. So, from 88 magiging 86 na siya. So, ano yung element na may 86 na atomic number? So, yung may 86 ay si radon. Ay, sorry. Hindi pala radon to. Radium to. Ito ay si radon. Sorry, guys. Ko-correct natin. Si Ra ay radium. Nalilito na ako. Si Ra ay radium. Si Rn ay yung radon. Ayan. So, si radon. Ayan. And then, di ba sabi 3 cycles? So, ibig sabihin may isa pa. So, Rn 2, 2, 4, And then 86, nag-undergo ulit daw ng isa pang alpha decay. Maglagay tayo ng alpha and then 4 dito and then 2. Then yung plus. And then 224 minus 4 is 220. And then, ilan yung atomic number na? 84 na siya. So, ang 84 ay si polonium, no? PO. So, yun yung final answer natin. So, ganun lang siya. So, for number 2 naman, so, burahin muna natin to. Burahin natin siya. Ano ba to burahin? Ay, sorry guys. Wait lang. Hindi ako marunong gumamit ng paint. Ayan, cut. So, for number 2 naman, an electron capture happened with an aluminum 25. So, aluminum 25 daw ay nag-undergo ng electron capture. Now, wait lang guys. So, nag-undergo siya ng electron capture. So, aluminum, sulat natin Al. Ano ba yung atomic number ni aluminum? So, si aluminum ay 13. So, ito naman daw ay nag-undergo ng electron capture. Again, kapag electron capture, ilalagay natin yung electron sa may part ng parent site. So, 0 and then negative 1. So, recheck natin. So, 0, negative 1. Yan, 0, negative 1. Nire-recheck lang natin. Baka kasi mamaya mali tayo. So, aluminum, negative 1. So, ayan. So, magiging 25 pa rin still. And then, ito ay magiging 12. No, so, ano naman yung element na may 12? So, ang element na may 12 is magnesium. So, magnesium. Magnesium 25. And then, syempre, ilalagay natin dito yung sa alpha. Or, sorry, yung sa may gamma decay. Yan. So, ganun lang siya. So, kayo nang bahala doon sa number 3. So, para masagutan nyo to, bibigyan ko na kayo ng hint. So, number 3 is nag-undergo ng beta emission, followed by alpha emission. So, ibig sabihin, si Californium-256, i-undergo mo muna siya ng beta emission and then after nun, kapag nakuha mo na yung product or yung daughter, tsaka mo siya i-undergo ng alpha emission. So, try nyo lang din siyang sagutan. Next is the nuclear kinetics. No. So, predictive applications were one of the uses of nuclear chemistry. Common use of it was carbon dating. Ano ba kapag sinabi natin carbon dating? And how it is possible to compute how old an object was by looking at the carbon-14 content. Hindi nakikipag-date dito si carbon ha. Ang carbon dating is ito yung way natin or yung modern way natin to estimate how old yung isang fossil. 'Di ba? Sa may mga fossil, ang ginagawa natin sa kanila is pinapadaan natin sila ng carbon dating para malaman natin kung ilang taon na sila. Before, ang ginagamit natin is para ma-determine natin yung kung ilang taon na yung isang bagay. For example, yung isang puno is through its tree ring. No, yan yung parang sing-sing na yan na kulay itim na yan, tapos yung guhit-guhit na yan. No, kung gano'n daw, dyan lang daw natin tinitingnan dati. Pero, nung sinaunang panahon pa yon. So, ngayon, ano naman kapag sinabi natin carbon dating? Kasi, ang isang organism, for example ako, or tayo, is habang buhay tayo, yung katawan natin ay nag-absorb ng carbon-14 sa environment. And then once na mamatay tayo or yung isang organism ay mamatay, no, yung carbon-14 na yon ay mare-retain sa ating katawan. And then through time, yung carbon-14 ay nagdadaan sa radioactive decay. And then kapag nagdaan siya ng radioactive decay, yung carbon-14 ay unti-unting nababawasan. Ibig sabihin, yung carbon dating, binibilang lang nila yung carbon-14 na present doon sa isang organism. So, ganun lang siya. Or ganun lang yung paliwanag sa carbon dating. Next is the chemical kinetics. No? In the nuclear kinetics rather. Chemical kinetics was pioneered to calculate certain parameters in chemical reaction. Yung kapag chemical kinetics ha, such as the rate constant, concentration of amount of a substance before and after the reaction, and the time it takes for the reaction to occur. At ng chemical kinetics is also applicable sa nuclear kinetics. True nuclear chemistry was somehow na different category, di ba mga magkaibang category ang chemical reactions at yung nuclear reaction. So meaning, chemical kinetics is also different sa nuclear kinetics. Now, chemical kinetics expressions can also be used to calculate and describe the nuclear reactions. Dito naman sila nagkakapareho. Yung chemical kinetics at yung nuclear kinetics. Diba? So, kung sa balancing, magkaiba sila. Dito, pareho sila. And then for a simple nuclear kinetic problems, the first order kinetics formula is used. ln A minus ln A naught is equals to negative KT. Itong equation number 1 natin is natural log form of first order kinetics. And then kapag ginawa natin siyang exponential form, same lang tong equation 1 at equation 2, ang nangyari lang is naging exponential form lang siya. Actually, dinederive to, pero hindi naman na natin kayo pagdederive kahit kasi kailangan nyo na ng advanced knowledge pagdating sa integration. So, kakabisaduhin nyo na lang yung formula. Hindi na kailangan mag-integrate. Now, sa exponential form, first order kinetics. Ito naman yung exponential form niya. Or A is equals to A naught E negative KT. So, paano to? So, ang A is the final amount of the nuclei. It can be, units are arbitrary, meaning pwede siyang grams, pwede siyang concentration, or kahit na anong klaseng, basta related siya sa amount, or kahit anong klaseng units. And then for A naught is the initial amount of the nuclei. Initial ha? Initial yung A naught, and then yung A is the final. And then K is the rate constant. Constant siya. Pero kinakalculate din yan. And then T is the time it takes for the reaction to occur. So, eto, solve natin yung mga following problems. Na, so, ano muna natin siya, i-screenshot muna natin. Yan, solve natin yung mga yan. Yan. So, sa number 1, thorium-232 undergoes 3 cycles of alpha decay. It started from 2.6 gram and then become 1.23 gram after 2.65 minutes. Calculate the rate of decay K of the thorium-232. So, ito, kukompute natin yung kanyang rate of decay. So, ang nawawala ay CK. Ano na nga ulit yung formula natin? Na formula is ln A minus ln A naught is equals to negative KT. Yan. So again, yung formula natin ay yun. So, i-check natin. So tama lang. No, so yun yung formula natin. So now, ano na yung gagawin natin? I-input na natin yung mga values. So kailangan dito maintindihan natin mabuti yung question. It started from 2.6 grams. Sabi doon daw nag-start. And then became 1.23 grams after 2.65 minutes. Now, so ibig sabihin, yung final natin or yung A natin is 1.23. So ln ng 1.23, wait lang guys, ayusin natin. ln ng 1.23, ln ng 1.23 minus ln ng initial natin, which is 2.6 grams. Di na natin isusulat yung Sige, isulat natin yung mga units natin. 1.23 and then 2.6 grams. Now, again kapag yung mga units no units means wrong. Kapag mali yung units then wrong din. Kapag walang units, mali din. The negative K, since yun yung hinahanap natin, multiply by time which is 2.65 minutes. 2.65 minutes. Sorry sa sa sulat. I-galaw natin siya ng konti para magkasya. Yan. So, ika-calculator lang natin siya, syempre. So, ln 1.23 minus ln 2.6. Yan. So, isa-isahin muna natin ha. Huwag muna natin siyang idediretso. Pero kung gusto niyo siyang idiretso sa calculator at kung marunong kayo mag-shape solve, sige lang. Pero kapag tayo, yung shape solving, pwede niyo lang siyang gamitin kapag kayo ay nag-check ng sagot ha. Pero kapag sa mga quizzes, kailangan natin syempre ng solution. So 0.748 grams. Yan. Is equals to negative K and then 2.65 minutes. Yan. Para maiwan si K dyan, multiply natin siya both side by, ayan. Divide both side, hindi multiply. Divide both side by 2.65 minutes para mawala yung time dito sa may kabila, no? And then kapag minultiply natin siya both side, idamay na natin si negative, no? Kasi wala nang hindi pwede maging negative si 2 ay si K. Kaya kapag ganon, damay na natin siya. So ayan. So cancel out natin to, cancel out tong nandito para maiwan si K. So K is equals to negative 0.48 divided by negative 2.65. So the answer is 0.28 grams per minute. So yun yung K natin. So ganun lang mag-calculate ng Now, so yung number 2, practice nyo din yung number 2 and then check natin siya kapag nag face-to-face tayo. Compute natin siya, no? So, dito naman sa number 2, bibigyan ko rin kayo ng hint. So, how much time? Ibig sabihin, ang mawawala dito ay si time. Will it need for radioactive iodine 131 to decay from 1.29 mg to 0.90 mg, where its decay rate was calculated to be 0.0825 mg per year. So, ibig sabihin, yung time na hinahanap natin ay dapat siya ay expressed as year. Kasi ito yung given natin na K. So, try to answer the number 2. Next is the half-life. So, in nuclear chem, half-life or T1 half of a radioactive element is the time required for half the nuclei in a simple to decay. So, the decay curve for iodine 131 shows that one half of the sample decays every 8 days. So, ito, analyze natin tong graph na meron tayo dito or yung graph na meron tayo. So, yung nasa y-axis natin is the amount of iodine 131 in milligrams and then the time in days. No, yung nasa x-axis natin. So, again, half-life siya. Nakakalahati. So, yung natin, in 0 days, ayan, nung 0 days, 20 mg pa daw si iodine 131. And then after 8 days, nakalahati siya. So, kapag hindi kinahati mo yung 20, magiging 10. And then, yan, after 16 days, yan, yung 10 mg na meron ka is makakalahati ulit. Magiging 5 na siya, 5 mg. And then after 24 days, yung 5 mg, kakalahati na naman siya, then magiging 2.25. No? So, ibig sabihin, lahati na naman. So, yung 2.25, kapag nakalahati siya, magiging 1.25 na siya after 32 days. And then, after 40 days, yung 1.25, makakalahati ulit siya. Magiging 0.625 na siya. So, ganun lang yung sa half-life. No? Marami tayong way to calculate the half-life. No? Pwedeng yung gantong method na kakalahatiin natin siya every 8 days, ganun. For example, dito every 8 days, no? Gamit yung time na given. So the formula, may formula naman tayo para hindi tayo magkalituhan. No, marami tayong way pero yun yung long method. So ito yung short method. The formula for half-life was originally derived also from the first order kinetics formula. To find the half-life, kailangan nyo kabisaduhin tong formula. T1 half is equals to ln 2 over K, where T1 half is the half-life and then K is the rate constant. So, dito, paano kapag si half-life yung hinahanap? No? May times na, eto, gagamitin mo yan para mahanap to. Siyempre, kailangan mo si K. No? Dito hindi na tayo mag-example since direct lang naman yung kanyang formula. So, one of the most important application of nuclear chem, particularly in archaeology, is by utilizing the carbon-14 degradation which scientists use to know how old a fossil was. So, ito na discuss naman na natin to. Yan. Yan, exercise. No. Dito sa exercise, isa lang yung sasagutan natin. And then kayo na yung bahala sa iba. So, burahin lang natin to. Yan. So, for number 1, again, analyze natin mabuti yung question. Now, so the half-life of zinc 71 is 2.4 minutes. Ang half-life daw ay 2.4 minutes. If one had 100 grams at the beginning, how many grams would be left after 7.2 minutes has elapsed? No? So, yung half-life daw niya ay 2.4 minutes. So, if one had 100 grams, no, how many grams would be left after 7.2 minutes has elapsed? So, dito sa may part na to, ang hinahanap natin ay grams. No? And then, ang given is etong initial grams na meron tayo. No? Kasi yun yung beginning. Diba? Yan. And then, yung time is 7.2. Yan. Ngayon, ang given ay yung half-life. Again, ang nawawala ay si grams. So, ibig sabihin, dito sa may mga formula natin kanina, yan, sa mga formula natin na meron tayo dito, magagamit natin to. Yung sa nuclear kinetics. No? Kasi ang hinahanap natin ay si final amount ng nuclide or CA. Yun yung nawawala. Tapos, given sa may problem natin si time. Pero ang nawawala din ay si K. Pero given din si initial amount. No? So, si K ang nawawala. Tapos, ang given ay si half-life. So, meaning, kakalculate muna natin si K using the half-life formula. And then, kapag nahanap na natin si K, pwede na nating i-compute dito si LNA na. No? Or si final. No? Pwede na natin siyang anuhin dito. Yung hanapin. No? So, balik tayo doon sa may problem. Yan. So, since ang given natin, etong half-life, hanapin muna natin si K. No? So, ano na nga yung formula natin for half-life? The formula is T1 half is equals to ln2 over K. Yan. And then, laruin natin yung formula para palabas natin si K. So, cross-multiply. So, K multiply by T1 half is equals to ln2. And then to, para maalis natin si T1 half dyan, divide both side by T1 half. Equals, ayan. Tapos dito yung T1 half. So, the final formula is K is equals to ln2 over T1 half. Yan, tama ba? Yan. Now, so ln2 over 2.4 minutes. Yan. So, i-calculator natin, of course. Hindi ko masasagutan yan ng utak lang yung ginagamit. ln2 divided by 2.4. So, the answer is 0.29. 0.29 1 over minute. Sir, bakit naging 1 over minutes? Kasi wala pa naman tayong dyan, unit. So, 1 over minutes or 0.29 minute negative 1. Pwedeng ganon. So, yan. Nakuha na natin si K. So, after natin makuha si K, hahanapin naman natin si mass na matitira. So, ang nawawala natin ay si A. Diba? Or yung C dito sa formula, si A ay si final amount. So, para hindi na kayo mahirapan, ang gamitin na lang natin na formula is yung exponential form niya. Ito, yung A is equals to A naught, E na minus ay E raised to negative 80. No? So, Sulat natin yung formula dito. So, A, yan kasi nawawala, yung A natin is equals to A naught, and then E. Si E ay, hindi yan given, no? Si E ay yung reverse ni ln. Si E ay reverse ni ln, ha, na makikita mo yun sa calculator. So, paano mo yun mapapalabas? Pindutin mo lang yung shift, tas pindutin mo yung ln, mapapalabas mo na si E. No? Yun lang. So, ano na nga yung formula? Nakalimutan na natin. Raised to negative kt, di ba? Yan, raised to negative kt. So, yan. A naught. Yung A naught natin is 100 grams. No? And then E, negative kt is negative 0.219 pala. 29, and then 1 over minute. Diba? 1 over minute, and then multiply by 7.2 minutes. 7.2 minutes or yung time. So, mangyayari dyan, cancel na natin tong si minute. Maka-cancel siya kasi nasa taas yung isa nasa baba. Remaining yung G as the unit or the desired unit. So, 100, again, 100 shift E, yon, negative 0.29, mali ako na input, 0.29 multiply by 7.2. So, the answer is 12.4 grams. Okay, wait lang. The answer is 12.4 grams. So, ito na yung final answer natin. So, ganun lang mag-calculate. So, for number 2, balik natin sa may mga kanina. So, for number 2, ayan. So, sa number 2 naman, after 24 days, 2 mg of an original 128 mg sample remain. Dito naman, half-life na yung mismong hinahanap dito. No? Pero bago yon, calculate mo muna si K. Kasi ang given lang ay yung time at yung initial at yung final amount. No? So, yun yung given dito. So, ganun lang. Hanapin muna si K para makuha mo si half-life or si T1/2. For number 3 naman, 100 grams of an isotope with a half-life of 36. So, dito ang given ay yung half-life is present at the time of 0. So, yung time ay 0. How much time will have elapsed when 5 grams remain? So, dito ang hinahanap naman ay si time. No? Tapos, ang given ay si half-life. So, meaning, hanapin mo muna si K. No? And then, ayan, given na si initial, tsaka si final. Next is, dito na tayo sa laboratory discussion natin. Di ba, lab tayo? Pero actually, ang laboratory part ay sobrang iksi lang naman. Kaya pinagsama ko na yung at yung lab. Again, kapag nagka-quiz tayo ulit is magkasama na ulit yung lecture at yung laboratory. And then, syempre, ito lang naman yung sahop ng ng discussion natin for laboratory. So, nuclear processes. In nuclear chemistry, there are two types of processes that describe the nature of nuclear reaction the nuclide undergoes. No? First is the nuclear fusion, and then next is the nuclear fission. So, may idea naman na kayo kung ano siguro yung fusion at yung fission, di ba? Kapag fusion, yun ay pinagsasama. And kapag fission, yun ay pinaghihiwalay. So, for nuclear fusion, combining two light nuclei to form a heavier, more stable nucleus. Ang nangyayari daw dito, yung dalawang nuclei daw, pinagsasama natin, no, to form a heavier. For example, dalawang magaan na nuclei or dalawang magaan na radioactive na element na pinagsama natin to form a more heavier one. And then for nuclear fission, splitting a heavy naman, kabaliktaran. Splitting a heavy nucleus into two nuclei with a smaller mass numbers. So for nuclear fission muna, the splitting of a heavy element producing lighter elements, neutrons and energy. The amount of energy is emitted in 1 million times more than a typical chemical reaction. No? Yung amount daw na energy na na-emit during nuclear fission ay sobrang laki. No? So, uncontrolled fission chain reaction is the basis of atomic bombs. Kung maalala nyo yung sa history, yung Hiroshima ba yun? Not sure kung Hiroshima. Hiroshima bombing nung World War II is yun yung nag-end ng ng war, 'di ba? Ng World War II na parang tinreten ng USA na kapag hindi tumigil yung Japan is yung buong bansa na nila yung pasasabugin using nuclear bomb. Ganun yung nangyari, 'di ba? Parang ang ginawa lang ng Amerika dati is nag-bomb lang siya ng certain area which is the Hiroshima na nag-cause ng genocide sa mga tao doon sa Hiroshima. Kaya nangyari, ayun, na parang nagkaroon ng sacrifices ng maraming buhay bago end yung war. No? So, balik tayo sa nuclear fission. Controlled fission reaction is produced in a nuclear reactor of a nuclear power plant. No? So, for example, yan, yung neutron. And then yung neutron. Magiging fissile nucleus siya. For example, yung uranium-235. And then kapag ni-split natin siya, the energy is also released. No? Kapag nag-i-split tayo, nagkakaroon tayo ng energy release. Meaning, the nuclear fission is an exothermic process or release of energy. Next is, ayan. Ito yung yung block diagram natin for a nuclear power plant. So, yung mga nuclear power plant pala ay pinapaandar using the method of nuclear fission. So, ito yung itsura niya. Yan. So, i-discuss natin yan. So, a nuclear power plant operates by a controlled fission reaction. So, generates heat and boils water producing steam which turns turbine on a generator to produce electricity. Since the nuclear fission or yung pag-split ng isang parent atom into daughter atoms na madami or daughter nuclei rather is nagkakos yun ng high energy. And then yung high energy na yan, di ba, as long as kapag nag-increase yung energy, the temperature also increases. Kaya meron tayong tinatawag na coolant. No? Kaya siya nasa tubig. So third is uses about 100 pounds of fuel per day and produces enough electricity for a city of approximately 1 million people, while a coal-burning power plant requires 5 million pounds of fuel to produce the equivalent amount of energy. Kung i-compare natin si nuclear power plant sa mga coal-burning power plant is the nuclear power plant is more efficient and then ito ay hindi pa masyadong nakakasira sa environment natin kasi wala siyang carbon footprint. Unlike sa may coal-burning power plant na maraming emission ng carbon dioxide. No, pero syempre, meron din namang cons yung nuclear power plant. No? 'Di ba dito sa Pilipinas before we have a nuclear power plant sa panahon ni Marcos and then pinasara siya during Cory's time or Aquino's time because of the threat na meron yung nuclear power plant. Ano ba yung maraming conspiracy theories kung bakit siya napasara. Pero yung main reasons daw is, bukod sa malapit siya sa residential area, kasi nga delikado, kasi nga nuclear power plant yan, malapit siya sa residential area, and then wala siyang proper waste disposal, especially the nuclear waste, di ba? Wala siyang proper waste disposal. And then, yung pinaka-cause is yung nandun daw siya sa fault line na kapag nagkaroon ng lindol, syempre, delikado yon. Mamaya kapag nasira yung mismong power plant, di ba? Masisira din yung nuclear power plant reactant core mo. And then, pwede siya mag-cause ng pagsabog. Now, so next is, balik tayo. It has the potential to produce electric power much more cleanly than combustion coal. Syempre, mas nare-reduce natin yung air pollution. No? And most significant disadvantage, ayan, yung waste disposal. Kasi radioactive waste yung nire-release natin for nuclear power plant. Hindi siya basta-basta na pwede mong itapon kung saan-saan. Kasi nga, radioactive siya. Pwede siya mag-cause ng harm sa environment. Pwede siya mag-cause ng mutation or pwede siya mag-cause ng extinction ng certain species. And then, syempre, potential siya for accident. Katulad nga na nabanggit natin kanina. Yan. So, yung nuclear power plant daw ay may reactant core. So, it contains the fuel rods, which consists of fuel enclosing tubes of a corrosion-resistant zirconium alloy. Ibig sabihin, hindi siya kinakalawang. So, yung reactant core, meron siyang mga parts din. The control rods or movable rods capable of speeding up or slowing down the chain reaction. And then the moderator acts as the coolant. Ayan yung nagpapalamig. The fluid that transfer the release heat to the steam-producing region. Next is the nuclear fusion. A nuclear fusion is a nuclear reaction in which lighter nuclei combines to produce bulkier or larger nuclei. Di ba kabaliktaran siya ng fission? Ito naman, pagsasamahin natin siya. Large quantities of energy are also produced in this process. And also, we need a large amount of energy to do this. No? Kung large energy yung napoproduce niya, of course, kailangan din natin ng large energy to succeed this process. So, it releases 10 times more energy per gram than fission. Mas malakas siya compared sa fission. Basis modern nuclear weapons such as hydrogen bombs. Now, in fact, stars produce their energy through nuclear fusion. No, yung stars daw ay product ng nuclear fusion. Our sun, which presently consists of 73% hydrogen, 26% helium, and 1% other elements, gives off vast quantities of energy from the fusion of protons to form helium. So, ayan, yung nangyayari sa kanya, nagkakaroon ng fusion. Yung hydrogen, ayan, magiging hydrogen pa rin siya, but magiging hydrogen 2 na yung kanya mass number. Kasi nag-undergo siya ng, tawag dito, ng positron. And then, ayun. And then, so on. So, hindi na natin to masyadong i-discuss. Ang mahalaga lang naman sa nuclear fusion is to understand that the nuclear fusion is the combination of the lighter nuclei to produce heavy nuclei. So, yun lang naman yun. So, sobrang iksi lang ng discussion natin doon. So, hanggang nun lang. So, for next week, prepare for a quiz. So, before tayo mag-quiz, is first, kailangan mo nang mag-discuss ng 1 or 2 hours for clarifications and then for kung may questions kayo before tayo mag-quiz. So, hanggang doon na lang yung discussions natin. So, thank you.